Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. And I bet you didn't really believe me when I said we were going to wrap up the tourney this week. Well, you were wise not to, and it's not deliberate. I'm not doing it to annoy you or prove how long one person can keep a tourney going. It's that one of the games in the tourney that got sent to me, one of the replays, was corrupted. And I'm hoping, dear God, am I hoping that one of the two protagonists in said final actually has the uncorrupted version in their local files, rather than obviously the corrupted version that I'm assuming Foley grabbed from the replay vault. I mean, if we can't get any way around it, we will do everything except that one game and try and give you a rundown. But hopefully we can get... I just want to kind of present, you know, the full thing to you guys so you don't feel you are missing out. So we're inserting one more team game into the mix this week. And it's going to be a custom 4v4. And you know what? It's going down on SETONS. That's right. Hold on to your potatoes. It's a SETONS, guys. I'm ready. You guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Ka-chang. Oh, I loaded straight away. That means it's going to be an awesome day. All right, let's take a look at our teams. This is Team 1 as usual up here at the top. This is Team 2 down here at the bottom going first for Team 1. Up here, rearguard air position in his very standard burgundy red. And I'm not so sure his very standard Seraphim. Can't quite remember. But it's Farms, the Schletter Farms, the Farm Hall or Eco Hall, whatever it translates as. Here he is, going Seraphim, opening first land. And let's take a look at the first teammate down here at the cliffs in electric blue. It's a hey go okay hand, or hand as we're going to be referring to him today. He's going Cybrin, bless him, and he opened first air, going second air. Unusual. Unusual for the cliffs, unusual for the Cybrin, unusual for a double open air factory. Right, next over to the causeway, making his way towards the middle of the map. It's FTX Commando in Pontiff White, going UEF. Opening first land and going land all day, as convention would dictate. It's a sensible idea for a causeway player. Off he goes on his Todd towards the middle. Next up, last but not least for Team 1, it's the one, the only, the Adjux in Volvo Beige, his customary colour of choice, and going Seraphim, opening first land. So two Seraphim, a Cybrin and a UEF there for Team 1. Let's take a look at Team 2 over here in... what did we say? We actually haven't come around to the colours yet. This is going to... For today, this is going to be unripe lime green. It's YOLO, going UEF, opening first land. Next up over at the cliffs, this time in Elephantine Grey, it's Foley. He's gone Aeon, our first Aeon of today, opening first and second air. Okay, new meta perhaps coming along that I'm not aware of on the SETONS games. These are all very high-rated players, so they know what they're doing. To the causeway in baby pink this time, marching his way towards the middle, going Cybrin. It's Feather. He opened first land and going second air, not going land all day. Interesting, next to the Hydro there. Although, actually, no, tell a lie. Second land, technically. Although, with the amount of build capacity over here, I humbly suggest... No, he's cancelling. He's changing things up. Redirecting his thoughts. Maybe that was based on the scout that he got from his teammate there. That scout plane from Foley that just revealed his opponent on the causeway and what he was doing. Last but not least, not just for Team 2, but for all our players today, in baby blue, it's UD. He's going UEF, opening first land, going second air. So we've got, what do we have here? It was two UEF, an Aeon and a Cybrin. That looks about right. Game quality's at 93%. That's what we consider to be a balanced game here at Guilecast. And with that intro complete, we can get to the middle in time for the juicy bit. Two ACUs converging on one another. Going to do their obligatory massy scoopy, and then start shooting each other in the face. Feather's going to get the initial exchange. First couple of shots away, and then goes back to hoovering. Not a great deal of urgency on either side to cause any direct damage. Lots of planes heading towards the middle. Scout planes for a little extra intel. We have got a T1 bomber heading south there for hand. Another few blaps. These two try and race to scoop the most mass. Interestingly, yeah, I found out recently that we were wrong all along, unless it was down to a recent patch to go scooping the Salem Rex first of all. You want to scoop the little wrecks on the causeway first of all, then switch up to the destroyers on the beach. There is a reason. Can't pretend that I remembered it. If you know the reason, feel free to contribute in the comments section below. You are as much a part of this as anybody else. It's your screenshot of the week right there, until a little bit later on in the game, no doubt. First couple of T1 units arrive in the center for Commando. Airdrop to the side island there for Foley. Airdrop complete already there for Hand. All happening in good symmetry. Feather on 3.4k of reclaim. Commando on 4.6, so he's done better for his team on the Scoopy. Feather down to 9,000 hit points. Commando on nearly 10,000. Slightly more damage inflicted generally by Feather there, because of course UEF starts with extra, what is it, 1,500? No, it's extra 2,000 hit points to begin with. In come a few Mantis. They're going to target Commando's comm. Commando brings in his strikers, of which there are many. Commando taking a bit of a battering here, though, down to around 60% of his base health, focusing on the Mantis rather than the comm. Feather still looking pretty healthy at 7,900. 6,500 by contrast there for Commando, who seems to be backing away towards the water. He's dropping his spam back to regroup further here, and his commander is just going to dip into the water there. Doesn't quite finish off that last Mantis, but he won't be too concerned about that. T1 bomber out there for UD, harassing engineers on the causeway. No great early plays to try and snatch control of any of the side islands. Doesn't look like we've got any early drops happening at the cliffs. Back to the center. Seems to be where most of the action is going down. Feather still scooping furiously. He's on 5.3k. And Commando's on 5.8. Still has pulled in a modest advantage by comparison. Now Feather's turn to take a bit of a battering from the incoming spam. He's down to 5,600. Has some relief brought in. Pink replicators turn up on the scene. Commando starts taking fire once again. He's down to 4,600. Sky Slammer's brought in, of course, dual use weaponry there. That's naughty Cybrans. Why have separate units for anti-aircraft firepower and anti-ground? We'll just shove it on the same vehicle. Slightly ember. Engineers out of the beach there for Team 2 for UD. Start work on a naval yard. One already in operation up here for Ajax. Commando bearing down on Feather, who looks like he might be about to retreat into the water, or at least he was thinking about it. Commander on 4,200, Feather on 2,700. Oh, it's very close. I'm wondering why he drifted away with his tanks there. There was possibly a kill on the cards. Commando maybe didn't want to push his luck. Just suddenly grabbed an advantage. Thinks he can hold the causeway. Didn't want to end up in a tie situation. Both commanders going down. Cheeky little drop was completed up at the top of the map. Doesn't manage to kill off the land factory though. Did kill off a mechs. Maybe the odd engineer. But solid work by Ajax containing that potential disaster. Feather, having repped up a little bit, is making his way back out of the water once again, just to throw a few blasts into the sides of the tanks moving down the causeway for Commando. The Commando just plowing headlong into the Mantis right in the middle of the map now. Once again, Feather forced to retreat, although Commando looking peaky. 2,800 compared to 2,300. Getting to that kind of territory where ties often happen. Commando losing the advantage slightly on that exchange. He has, however, managed to construct a land factory. That's a nice reinforcement point for him, especially when you consider the nearest factories down here for Feather are right the way off, or right on the neck there. Commando starting a T2 upgrade. That routes him to the spot, and routes him to the spot with a precarious amount of health as well. Of course, if he completes it, he gets that all-important hit point increase, dramatically increasing the amount that he has in total and the amount that he has repaired. Feather, of course, running Cybrim with that higher regen on board the comm. Probably going to end up with similar amounts by the time that upgrade finishes, although that upgrade is finished completely outstandingly. That was just creeping along. Suddenly a whole bunch of engineers turn up. Major assist order given. And now FTX Commando has major utility with that extra build power. It's throwing down a T2 PD. Feather needs to try and deny this if he can. If this is allowed to go online along with the other point defenses, it's going to be unbreakable and he's going to have to drop back. The triad does complete. There goes another T1 PD. And Feather's surely now going to have to yield the central causeway section of the map. Very nice play for Commando. Solid decision making, good assist at the right time. Contrast that by the T3 that's on the way for Ajax in his main base. That's nearly 60% complete. It's very close on team income. At least it was. It was 370 to 383 or something for a moment there, but it's now jumping between the 400s and the 380s. Feather did manage to get a land factory online. I shouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of a PD creep going on here. He's got another forward triad online, started another one, got the engineers to complete that. There's no way Feather can compete. Unupgraded comm, no T2 tech inbound either. I think he's got T2 on the field right now, a few mexes. T1 bomber rolling in. Targeting the triads. Won't take too long, you shouldn't think, for Commando to respond to that. Get some anti-air on the causeway. Starting tactical victory by demoralization, and that's a cheeky little upgrade right there. Tactical missile launcher already 50% complete. Indeed, there's the railgun. And Feather decides his best course of action now is a gun upgrade. Speed and range 80% done there. Ponds have been relatively quiet, but remember, we're only 12 minutes in so far. 3 naval yards online at the cliff edges, another one up by the island, another one queued up down there for Foley. 3 naval yards online for Ajax. A paltry 1 online at the cliffs, but 3 more completed over by the island for Hand, slightly different positioning, and 3 online down there for UD at the beach. Feather just skirting the edge of the Triad's range, going after that forward formation of T1. I feel like he's skirting any longer. This is a full-on attack. FTX Commando in full point defense building mode. Can he get enough online to shut this down? Feather on the warpath here. Needs to be careful, needs to be clever. He's got 4,200 hit points, not a lot to spare. Commando starting to get surrounded here. It's helping him that he's got a few Medusas in there with that EMP on board, those T1 artillery shells. Commando furiously erecting new PDs every time one goes down, a new one started. He's run out of T1 spam, he's completely surrounded. This is going to be close. FTX Commando down to 5,000 hit points and falling. Feather dipping in and out of the water, but Commando just lost a huge chunk of hit points. He tries to hit back with a tactical miss against Feather, but Feather's on the move. This is surely the end for Commando, who looked like he had the causeway all sewn up. Boom, baby! Feather takes him out at 14.5 minutes, almost on the nose. And that is a swift turnaround from where we were just a few moments ago. It looked like Feather had been completely ousted from the causeway. Ajux being disparaging about his teammate in local chats. Of course, his prerogative. Being a SETONS game, of course, full share is on. So somewhere a fairy has died of terminal dyslexia. Dreadfully dangerous, those long words, when they get dug in. Feather now just probing the next forward installation. It's got its own T1 radar station. That would be a nice snag, taking that out. And on he rolls, undaunted by the lack of personal hit points. Rolls right over that forward position. Let's take a moment to at least check out the bottom pond. Frigates bashing one another between the two blues. And tried to get a forward reinforcing position online. Looks like it might be being overrun. Top pond. Foley skirting the edge of the causeway as Feather continues to push up. Ajux trying to seal off his advance, protect his naval yards. He's now producing T2 units out of that. Also have a T2 HQ for Foley as well. Indeed, that forward reinforcing position was overrun. YOLO coming into counter with some torpedo bombers going straight after the northerly Salem. In comes the cruiser to shadow their progress. None of these are getting out of there. Can work, but it's an expensive counter. And now Feather continues, having almost fully repaired his comm. Nearly at 13k, advancing on now on the next position. Engineers up front, Sparky's working on triads and PDs. Feather taking a bit of punishment, down to 8,400. Really, that stream of pink just continuing unbroken. Ajax seemingly unable to keep up with the two theatres. I do like this aggressive play from Feather. So often you see one party win the causeway and they'll advance up to here and they'll hunker down, build a base, and that will be the end of all of the forward pressure until they inevitably get forced back by one of the two ponds that's likely to go the other way. Feather's not waiting for that eventuality. He's determined to roll in and deny as much as he can. Shut down the extra eco that went into Ajax's hand. Ajax not a guy you want with extra eco, but in came Hand, airdropped his commander to deal with this personally. One Volthu out from Farmschlet. Another one was inbound, but Farm seems to be behind in the ASF game. I don't know if that's after an exchange or not. Either way, there's one exchange going down now, and it seems like YOLO might have the numbers. Hard to tell. And of course, we're right by Farmschlet's base. Ajax has pulled his commander as well and is throwing down defenses just northeast of Feather's current position. Hand getting to work with some Cerberus turrets, just determined to plug this pink leak that's heading into their territory. Feather's relentless pressure has forced them all to sit up and take notice. It's only going to cause more problems though for Ajax in the pond as his attention is diverted to the center. Meanwhile, in the bottom pond, it would seem Hand is managing things against Yudi reasonably well. Yudi on 292 and Hand on 288. They're not comparable though, remember, the two sides. Take a look at Ajax, he's on 271 and Foley's on 228. Ajax though, of course, has had extra eco for a little while, but that's slowly being dismantled bit by bit by Feather and his aggression. I think that has to be the end of it though. Can't get enough units into that portion of the map quickly enough, and Hand has a full-on shielded firebase, no less, just to the east. Indeed, Feather backs up. Fortunate for him, Farms hadn't managed to gain an advantage in the air game. He could have found his comm in a sticky situation. Stickiest and sticky the stick insect got stuck to a sticky bun. Lots of Exodus class destroyers over here for Foley. Of course, they are the easiest to fight against of all of the destroyers, as long as you're paying attention and you're microing your units thanks to that slow muzzle velocity. Stealth on the way for Feather, 3/4 done there. And YOLO with an unprecedented intervention into the top pond, going after Ajax's ships in a big way with a massive torpedo bomber incursion. Ajax just seems to be losing the top pond bit by bit. And Feather didn't drop back very far. Hand still battling against him here. He's dropped back over here. He's got stealth. He's thrown down a land factory. Now, will he dig in is the question. Never got the engineering suite, remember, on that comm. So if he's going to do it effectively, he's probably going to need engineering assistance or to get on that upgrade. T3 Navy operational in the bottom pond there for UD. He's got a shielded Neptune-class battle cruiser. Trying to drive a wedge there and doing it pretty successfully in between Feather's ground position and the fleet of Hand, who has been driven right back. You remember just a few moments ago it was all kicking off down here. Well, he's been forced right back off that position, right back to the cliffs almost. This is not looking good for Team 1. Torpedo bombers there, a few stalks for UD. Continuing to add pressure. A couple of galaxies online though for Hand, who's investing now in his naval forces. A lot more, that's for sure. Back to the causeway. Feathers on the move again. And this guy's being aggressive, and you've got to say, it's exciting. Wants to see a causeway player eliminate their opponent and then just sit still while their opponent regroups. Not I declare. Feather just rampaging forward, and Hand's taking fire now. He needs to be very careful here. There's a lot of pink T1 around his comm. He's got the T3 engineering suite, but that's still only 13,500 at full health. He is, however, withdrawing into the range of Adjux's T2 PD up here. He's also got his Cerberus turrets over here. So, played that reasonably well. But still, Feather, so ambitious. One more sneeze on that Cerberus turret and it's done. Couple of shells inbound. There it goes. Excellent skirmishing from our pink Cybrin on Team 2. Now this is where these Exodus class destroyers with their huge long alpha strike come into their own. If they manage to win the battle and can get in range of your base, it's the time you start thinking about writing your will. Perhaps apologizing to all the people that you hurt. Not saying Adjux is like that, but we've all hurt somebody. Watch those battle cruisers all day. They've actually grown on me a lot. I was always all about the Summit, that UEF battleship. Something to be said for those giant Aegis looking, obviously not acting, but huge triangular tower, those massive iron cannons. Damn it, why wouldn't they make another of these? A good one. Instead of that SOCOM 2 debacle. What is Chris Taylor doing? Is he not, like, he moved over to Wargaming? Was he not working on some Total Annihilation 2 idea or something? Did I hear that somewhere? Maybe that was just one of those insidious rumors to get people's hopes up. Back to the causeway. Feather engaging once again, and I really have to say back to the middle now. He is well and truly off the causeway with his commander.
Strategic launch detected.
Hello, what's going on here? It's a nuke. Where's it going? It's usually going to the air player if it can sneak through, and yes, it will. And you know what? If that connects and Farmschlet doesn't move his comm, that's it for him. I don't see any anti-nuke online in that base. Wondering if there's any on the way. Unlikely. Nuke inbound. There is a transport there, and Farmschlet's moving his commander to it. On board he gets. Air traffic is clear. Evac complete. Base surely destroyed. And that really will hand a massive advantage to Team 2, who, let's face it, things were going pretty well for them already. Kaboom! All the core mass down, all the power down. Farmschlet just torn a new one by that nuke. Airdropped his comm over here. Looks like he might be moving him back to assist in the cleanup operation. Feather completes an experimental. Where's that? Well, it's not up front. There it is. And it's a Monkey Lord, unsurprisingly. But let's just take a look for a moment. Farms, yes, he's lost his production power for now, more or less. He's got 1 or 2 factories online still down here. That's 146 AFFs. A YOLO. By contrast, a paltry 84. I'm assuming we missed it and missed a pretty significant air battle where Farms inflicted heavy losses on Team 2. He was definitely behind when back in the day when Commando was dispatched. That's not the case anymore, and he's now going to absolute town with Seraphim torpedo bombers on UD's naval yards, and it's backed up by the lion's share of Han's fleet, which is marching into the bay. Oh, would you look at that? So many battle cruisers. They all just roll off at the same time. I think they did. Prioritizing the battleships. Backed up, of course, by those bulwark ships. Shielded nicely. Couple of ASFs brought in for YOLO just to pick away a few of those torpedo bombers, but not a lot. So many torpedoes. Three battle cruisers remain at the front from that last batch. Another one's just been completed back here. 1 galaxy down, 2 galaxy down, but there's still another 2, 4, 6, 7 online. In comes UD, however, and Ajax has had enough. Control case is comm. Why, you might ask? Well, that's why. Foley just parked off his beach with a ton of Exodus class destroyers and just laying into him big time. It's now a 4 versus 2. There's now a Monkey Lord turning up at the front line of Han's forward position, and it looks like he might struggle now to contain Feather, who's on the warpath once again. Yes, things are going nicely, or were going nicely, for Team 1 in the southern pond. After that battle, Farmschlet's ASFs have been severely depleted. They are withdrawn to guard the skies over the top of this encroaching army. He's got a few Volthus inbound, presumably going to target that Monkey Lord. Hand has withdrawn his commander away on transport, bringing that back to base. But just check it out. Cyber and Carnage. stomping their way through Hand's forward defenses. That giant broad microwave laser incinerating everything in its path. And incoming Aeon fire from those destroyers at the beach. What a spectacular collapse this is. Volthu's amassed in a critical amount according to Farms as he brings them in now to try and deal with this spider. There's a lot of flak in there though, he can't hang about. All he can manage is one quick pass and then out he goes back to the bottom pond. Hand battling valiantly. If he could shut down Yudi, there might still be a chance. There's nearly another nuke ready though. It doesn't seem to be moving very quickly, that conflict in the bottom ocean. Contrast that with what's happening over here. Massive alumni airdrop of T1 engineers. They're going to get to work on land factories. Going to start spamming out units and a T2 naughty floaty incursion there. Blazes and asylums. One or two ascendants in there as well to protect from those gunship attacks. The spider did go down, so Farms managed to achieve a decent kill there. A few strap bombers lurking for Farm Schled as well, targeting this group of units over here. Those shields not making it easy, protecting that flak. Look at that massive low-tech push from UD, trying to spam the area with as much T1 as he can, and that's a thing of beauty. That's going to be incredibly difficult for Team 1 to deal with. The outrageous missile ship. It's exactly the time when you want to bring it in. Mind you, I don't know if there's anything in range. They do have an outrageous range. There's that second nuke. Where's it going? It's not going after the fleet. It's going after the side island. And Farms has had enough. Farms declares he's beaten, and so does Hand. 33 minutes. He just produced a Monkey Lord. But that's a solid win right there. And I don't always show them, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people now, I know it, are like, what? You say you don't like curb stomping, Skyle. Well, you know what? You've got to mix it up, and there's valid, measurable content there. Valid, measurable reasons why you should show that kind of stuff. There was good, solid play. Feather was pretty outstanding. I think I'd give him MVP. Shutting down Commando, gave them the lift they need. Carried on pressurizing, which meant Hand and Ajax had to pull their commanders to the neck. That at least made sure of the victory in the top ponds, forced Ajax out. Hand did brilliantly. If I could give 2 MVPs, I would. He would get the second one. Did amazingly. But alas, it was not to be. It was a comprehensive win. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. You know what I might do? I might just leave this recording for a little bit to give you guys... well, I'll give you guys a little bit of a teaser so you don't know exactly when the game's going to end. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. I'm not going to do that every time. I know some people want me to do that. But it just, adds a little bit of mystery. So I'm going to just leave this running probably for 10 minutes or so. But guys, thank you so much for watching. And of course, if you already subscribed to Patreon, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. If you don't and feel like contributing, details below this and each and every one of my videos. Do check it out. Your support is vital to keep this channel alive. All donations very gratefully received, and it keeps me bringing this content to you and helping to support the community. All right, that's enough from me. Until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile signing out.